know the main thing that goes all the way is if you're ranching, there's something to do 24/7. I mean, there is always something to do or something to take care of. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 cows and 2 sheep or thousands.
How long have you lived in Gillette? Your whole life?
Yes, born and raised here. School was at Arriva, Wyoming. A really funny story. There was just 2 of us in school.
When did you guys get married?
In 1953.
You guys started ranching right away, is that right?
Mm-hmm. When I got married, his folks lived right at the airport at that time.
Okay.
Across from the airport, they had more or less a farm because they did a lot of haying and crop farming, and also a little bunch of sheep. Everybody had those. And so he came home from the Navy, and that's what he did, was move in there and help his folks. So they built a house right in the same yard as their ranch house. They probably only had maybe less than 100 sheep because it was just a small place there across from the Campbell County Airport.
Right.
And they did mostly farming. We were there a little over 2 years, and they got a chance to lease a property up by Claremont, Wyoming. A wide place in the road then. It was less wide then. Now it was nothing. Anyway, it was a huge ranch. And it had neither running water, electricity, or anything. But all we ran was cattle up there. So we moved in an old house that was a mile below the ranch house. It was on a property that was leased there.
Okay.
So we lived in another leased house. These leased houses did not work. He and his brother were ranchers together. They had cattle and sheep. We used to laugh about, people would say, well, you have cattle and sheep both, and if it was just like that, mostly cattle, but somebody had a few sheep.
Right.
They said, yeah, we have the sheep to pay the bills.
How did you dock?
With a knife.
With a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Richard, my husband, used to always laugh and say, when I married her, she didn't even have running water, which was true. In fact, Richard, my husband, always pulled the nuts, they call them, with his teeth until he lost a front tooth. Probably with lots of things, but I mean the overall main thing we noticed, like shearing sheep and that type of stuff, where you don't bend over and use your clippers anymore.
Did you have to shear?
I did never. No. There was about.
How did you get out of that?
There's about 2 things I said I'll never do, and that was one of them. By then there was very first. Well, they looked like the clippers you get your hair cut with now. Well, a lot of the shearing people did just come from ranch to ranch to ranch. Through 4-H, probably. Tom and Richard both sheared. Have our bucks sheared early and out of the way and kind of things. They didn't have to, but it was just things that needed. You could do it a little bit different time and not make everything pile all up on the week we were shearing or whatever time. And now these shearers shear over 100 head a day. The good shearers, even when we still had shearers, were nearly 100, 80, 90 a day each shear. But now they're way over 100. Sheep can feed themselves pretty much. That's why they can make the money. In the worst of winters, they'll eat the sagebrush. We always fed our sheep an additional nutrient of cake, we called it, the cubes. Yep. Very simple fact, but the fact that you used to have to feed them, well, my dad used a gunny sack and just carried it over his shoulder and just carried it like this and walked around because we didn't have a lot of sheep and there was no other way.
Right.
And then some of the guys would, later years that had a lot of sheep, would put it like in their pickup and just shovel it, throw it out. And now there's feeders that fit on the back and you sit in the pickup and drive. All those things we went through. I just had to go 10 miles. And then I had running water and him. I saw that difference myself.
Tell me about wool growers.
I'm a member of the Wyoming Wool Growers and the Campbell County. The Wool Growers Association, Wyoming one, has through the years been, the only spokesman we've had for wool growers. And like everything else, they've had their good officers and their bad, but in general, they have done well for the wool growers, I feel. Locally, we no longer have wool growers being the men. We have the auxiliary.
When did you get your sheep wagon?
It was on the ranch that we bought. We keep ours up, and like I say, our son has it now.
Did you take sheep with you to Hawaii?
To eat. My neighbor said, she brought me a sheep, and she said, I know you like these because I've been in your house. And her brother was in Scotland, or in Canada, and so he had sheep. And so she said, I got this from my brother because I knew I've been in your house, and every other thing's a sheep.